All right. So we're in child's pose. Maybe have your knees wide and your toes together, reaching the arms out. And if it's difficult to bring the hips all the way to the back of the legs, you can take a cushion that feels really good. Just take a cushion on top of the calves to support the hips. You can also have a cushion or a block under the head, whatever works for you. And we'll take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Stretching through the arms and the shoulders. Start to slow the breath. Feel the expansion through the rib cage as you inhale, exhale, coming towards the mat. Maybe engaging your ujjayi breath, or your audible breath. In this position, it's really easy to hear your own breath. Relaxing the lower back. Notice the expansion through the rib cage. And start to come into your own natural rhythm of breath. Inhale, and then as we exhale, let's walk the hands back. So we come to a seated position on your knees. Again, you can have a cushion underneath your hips or just come right onto your ankles. And let's start by taking the arms forward, interlace the fingers, reaching the palms forward, stretching the back of the shoulder blades. Big inhale, take it up. And exhale, let the shoulders come down, pushing through the palms. Pinky fingers coming back, pushing forward and up with the thumb side of the hand. Stretching through the elbows. Feeling the length in the side body. Abdominals are strong. Shoulder blades dropping back. And then we'll separate the hands and take one side down, and then we'll reach over for a side bend. Reaching the fingers over the ear. Maybe opening that shoulder. Pushing into the mat with the opposite hand. Dropping the rib down. With the hips as the ribs extend. Big inhale. And exhale to the other side. Dropping that hip down on that side, reaching over, opening up that shoulder. Feeling a stretch through the rib cage. Big inhale. Exhale to come up. And again, let's take the arms forward, maybe changing the lace, how you interlace your fingers to the odd way. Again, inhale. And take the arms up. Exhale, drop the shoulders. Nice and tall through the spine. And we'll inhale and we'll start to twist. So we'll keep the hips facing forward, twisting from the waist and the shoulders. And then you can add the arms. So the hand comes to the opposite knee. And reaching the crown of the head toward the ceiling. Feel a twist in the thoracic spine. Gentle on the neck. And come back to center. Again, we'll interlace the fingers, big inhale to come up. Exhale, let the shoulders come down, reaching the palms toward the ceiling. Inhale and exhale as we start the twist with the arms lifted. So we're really lengthening through both sides of the rib cage. Inhale and then exhale, take the arms down. Maybe using that hand against the knee to increase that twist. Focusing on the breath. Inhale, lifting through the spine. Exhale, maybe increasing the twist just a little bit. And take it back to center. And let's just come off the hips and we'll come right down onto our backs. And bring the knees in. And we'll squeeze the knees toward the shoulder blade, one hand on each shin, and rotate the ankles. Both ways. And then we'll come into a happy baby. So take your elbows to the inside of the knees and hands to the outside of the feet. So the feet are facing, the soles of the feet facing toward the ceiling. And elbows are on the inside, and we're resisting the knees into the elbows as we push out with the elbows. Or you can also just keep your arms on the outside. If you have your elbows on the inside, then you can really work the inner thighs by pushing and resisting against your arms, pulling your feet down towards the mat, and lengthening the spine. Take a few breaths right there. Starting to activate all those muscles in the legs, in the hips, abdominals, arms. Inhale, and let's keep the right foot where it is, and we'll slightly lower the left, and we'll come right into a pigeon pose. So we'll take that right ankle and cross it over the left knee, opening up that right knee, flexion through the right foot, and then we'll reach through, holding on to the back of the left leg or the shin. And here again, you can use that elbow against the knee to open up that hip. At the same time, trying to push the sacrum into the mat. So we're keeping the back nice and long. If your hands are around the back of your thigh, you're resisting your thigh into your hands. So you're actually pushing away as you press the sacrum into the mat. And it's a little easier, I find, when you hold behind your thigh to use that elbow to open up that, to press against the knee, opening up that right hip. And then we'll let that go. And let's take the right knee towards the shoulder and the chest, and we'll extend the left leg long on the mat. Hands are interlaced around your shin and really compressing that hip, bringing the shoulders, the knee toward the shoulders. Pressing through the extended leg heel. So you're starting to activate the quads, stretching through the back of the calf. And then we'll extend that leg toward the ceiling. And again, you can take your hands interlaced behind the right thigh, pushing that heel toward the ceiling. And we'll point and flex and point and flex and point and flex. Inhale, exhale, let's bring the head up. Maybe extend those arms. And then we can add on by just lifting that extended foot about an inch or two off the floor, starting to engage the abdominals, pushing through both heels. Legs are active, abdominals are active. Face is relaxed. Jaw is relaxed. All the other muscles are working, the face is relaxed. And then slowly lower down. We'll bring both legs back in towards the chest. Again, rotate the ankles. And we'll come back to our happy baby, elbows on the inside, holding on to the outer edges of your feet, facing toward the ceiling, pressing the sacrum into the mat. And then add that action of pressing the heels toward the elbows and trying to push the knees out. So we're really working those inner thighs. And breathe. Spine is long, pressing the feet towards the ceiling. And then we'll lower the right leg just a little bit and then cross the left ankle over the right knee, coming into a pigeon, keeping the flexion in the left leg, left foot, and reaching behind, either behind the thigh or reaching around to the shin. And take that elbow to increase the opening in the hip. Again, pressing the sacrum into the mat. Notice where you're feeling the sensation. Maybe in that left hip. Breathe. And then we'll take that left leg toward the shoulder, extending the right leg, pushing through the heel, activating the thigh in the right leg. And then extending the left leg. Feel a stretch in the hamstring and the calf. And we'll point and flex and point and flex and point and flex. Then option to lift the head, extending through the arms, engaging the abdominals, and then you can add a little lift to that lower leg and hold it there. Breathe, abdominals are strong, shoulders are back. Face, again, relaxing the face. And then slowly lower down, bring the knees in. And let's take the knees right over the hips or maybe even a little further away, flexing the feet. We'll take the arms out to the side. And we'll bring in a little oblique work here. So we're going to take the knees down. Let's start. We'll take the knees toward the right. And let's only as far as you can keep both shoulder blades on the mat. So we're working the abdominals and the obliques, palms to the mat. So we're feeling that twist right at the waist, strong through the abdominals here. And inhale to come up. And exhale, we'll take the knees to the right. You don't have to go very far to feel that. If you go too far, the ribs will start to pop up and that left shoulder blade comes up. We want to keep that both shoulder blades on the mat. And inhale to come up. And exhale, slowly take it to the other side. And back to center. And then take it to the right. And back to center. Both strengthening and stretching here. Strong abdominal work, obliques, stretching through the rib cage. And come back to center. And then this time, let's take it all the way to the mat. So we come into a twist and let the knees come down. Inhale, exhale. You can take that hand on top of a knee for a little added weight. Notice how that adds to the stretch. Broadening through the hips. Stretching through the rib cage. And even that extended arm, you can take it just a little bit closer to your ear with the palm up, and you might even get a little bit extra stretch in the front of the shoulder and the chest. And inhale, arms come out. Let's take the knees up, and we'll just drop it to the other side. Notice any difference from one side to the other. Hand can rest on top of the knees. And again, if you want, you can take that right arm a little bit closer to the ear, getting a little bit more stretch through the front of the shoulder and the chest. And then we'll extend both arms out, bring the knees back up, and we'll come to hands and knees, either by just rolling to your side and come right up onto your hands and knees, or you can roll up and then just come over your knees, and we'll end up in a tabletop position. So the hands are under the shoulders, knees are under the hips, and we'll just let the belly drop. So we're bringing in some spinal flexion. And then we'll take it to a cat position. So we're dropping the head, dropping the tailbone, rounding the spine, finding length. Strong pull through the abdomen. I like to think of it as being, there's a rope around your waist and you're hanging from that. So your head is dangling and your tailbone is dangling, and you're being pulled up right through the center. And then inhale. And exhale. And inhale. And exhale. Hold it in your cat position. Strong through the hands. Shoulders are away from the ears. Rounding. This time we'll lift the knees just 1 inch off the mat. So you should feel a strong engagement. We're strengthening through the abdominals. Holding it there, working the upper body, the arms. Hold it there. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Very slowly lower the knees. And let's send that right leg back. So you're on the ball of the right foot. And arms are strong, rotating the inside of the elbows forward. Fingers are spread wide. Engage through the abdominals. And then we're going to lift that right leg. Hips are square, pushing through the heel. We're active through the quads. Stretching through the hamstrings. And then we can add the left arm. Keeping the hips square. Long stretch, fingertips through that right heel. Hold it there. And then we'll take the knee to the right, elbow to the left. So we come into a 90-degree angle with the right leg. So now we're working the outer right thigh, keeping it lifted. Option to stay there or to increase that strengthening. We're going to straighten that leg, straighten the arm, hold it up in the same plane, arm and leg, pushing through the heel, and bring the hand back to meet the other hand, and we'll drop that foot right where it is, out to the side, coming onto the sole of the right foot. And then we'll tuck the back toes, bring the hips back, walk the hands forward, and feel that stretch on the outside of that right ankle, stretching the inner thigh, lengthening through the arms and the spine. Take a few breaths. Pushing that foot into the floor so we really get that stretch on the outside of the ankle. And then walk the hands in, and we'll just take that, lift that leg and cross it all the way over to the opposite side. So you can untuck the left toes, bring that foot all the way across onto the ball of the right foot. Turn your gaze toward the toes. Feel a stretch. And then see if you can pull the hips toward the right, just to increase that side stretch a little bit more. Breathe. And then we'll come back to center and bring that knee back so knees are in line. And let's let the belly drop for a cow and the cat. And let the belly drop. And round. Hold it there. Again, come up on the knees or lift the knees. 1 inch off the mat. Drop the head. Hold it there, pushing through the hands, strong on the mat. And lower the knees. Let's take it to the other side. So we'll extend the left leg back on the ball of the foot, push through the heel. Feel that stretch. Back of the left leg. And then engage in your abdominals as you lift that leg. Toes pointing down, shoulders away from the ears. Rotating the inside of the elbows forward. And then option to add that right arm. Everything's working here. Pushing through the heel, reaching through the fingertips. And then we'll take that knee directly out to the side and bending that elbow. So we have a 90-degree angle at the elbow and the knee. Option to stay there or start to straighten that leg, really working that outer hip. Hold that leg up, hold the arm up, and then take that hand down, lower the foot to the floor. So the sole of the foot is on the floor. Tuck the back toe, and then we'll walk the hands forward and the hips back. This time the stretch is on the outside of that left ankle, inside of the left thigh. Walking the fingertips forward. Breathe, extending through the rib cage. And come back up. Let's bring the hands in, untuck the toes. And we'll lift that leg and take it all the way across the other leg till the toes are, ball of the toes are on the floor. And we're glancing toward that foot. Feel the stretch. And start to add a little bit of a pull of your hips to the left. So that's going to increase that side stretch just a little bit more. And then take your head forward and bring your knee back to meet the other knee. And we'll just take the hands, actually, let's separate the knees. And we'll just bring the hips back to the child's pose where we started. Big breath in and exhale. If you have a block handy, we'll take a block just in a diagonal from the right hand, and then we'll walk that left hand to the block, and then take the right hand to the mat or the floor, and pull the hips back, extending that left side. So you should get a strong stretch on that left side. You can increase that stretch by pressing into the mat with your right hand. Strong stretch to the rib cage, the armpit. And we'll walk it back to center. Big inhale and exhale. And same thing on the other side, either move your block or maybe you have another block. We'll take the right hand, top of the block, left hand to the floor. Really reaching the fingers, stretching through that rib cage. Pulling the hips back. And increase that stretch by pressing the left hand into the floor. And we'll walk it back to center. Inhale, exhale. Walk the hands back. And then we'll tuck the toes. And let's come into a downward dog. So the feet are about hip width apart. Hands are shoulder width apart. And just start to pedal it out. Bending one knee. Then the other knee. Going through a downward dog checklist. Fingers are spread, every part of the hand pressing into the mat. And come to stillness, rotating the inner elbows forward. Pressing the heels toward the mat or on the mat. And we want to make sure the abdominals are engaged, especially if you're a little bit looser in the shoulders. So we're not letting the lower back sink, so that we have a strong support of the lower back by engaging the abdominals. Uddiyana Bandha. And then we'll bend the knees, lift the hips. Lengthening fingertips to the sit bones, long through the torso. Lifting the hip bones toward the ceiling, and then we'll lower the heels. Inhale, exhale. And then let's inhale to a plank. Bring the shoulders back. Again, pushing through the heels, engaging the quads, the abs. And inhale, we'll take it back to downward dog. A variation, if that's too much weight bearing, you can come down to your knees and take that flow from child's pose and forward and back. Just as a variation. Otherwise, we're up in downward dog. Big inhale. Exhale and take it forward to plank. And inhale back to downward dog. And exhale to plank. And inhale. And exhale. Hold it there. Pushing through the heels, strong through the arms. Last time, let's take it back to downward dog. Inhale, and then exhale, we'll walk the feet toward the hands, and we'll come into Uddiyana Bandha. Excuse me, Uttasana, forward fold. Knees can be bent. Hands on a block or the mat. Bending one knee and the other knee. Feel a stretch in the lower back. Let the head be heavy. Maybe start to straighten the legs just a little bit, feeling that stretch in the upper hamstrings. Even if the knees are bent, you're still getting that nice stretch in the hamstrings. Weight is evenly distributed from the front of the foot to the heels. Then we'll bend the knees deeply, and this time we'll roll up by engaging the abs and then using the abdominals to stack the vertebrae, one on top of the other. Let the shoulders go and the head. So we'll come to stand, and then let the shoulders fall into place as the head comes up. And I'll face you so you can see me. Shoulders back. Close the eyes for a minute. Open the palms. Big inhale, exhale. The gentle engagement of the abdominals, tailbone dropping toward the mat, toward the heels, shoulders back. And we'll open the eyes, take the arms up, big inhale, and then exhale. Take the palms to heart center. Let's do that again. Drop the hands, big inhale. And looking up, slight back bend, and exhale to heart center. One more time. Inhale, open the chest, open the heart. And hold it there. Keep the arms lifted. And from here, we're at the top of the mat. We'll take the arms out. Hinging from the hips, swan dive to forward fold. Let the head go. With the hands on the mat, we're going to heel toe the feet to the edges of the mat. So we're in a forward fold. We'll just take the feet to the edges of the mat, and then we'll drop the hips coming into a garland pose or malasana, squat. This is where your alternative, if that doesn't work for you, is happy baby is one option. The other option, take two blocks, one on top of the other, so you get some height, and then you're still able to get that stretch of the inner thigh. So choose where you want to be. And we'll just hold it there, trying to lift the chest, maybe take the thumbs against the sternum. And rather than just sinking down, really try to actually use your strength to hold you up. So you're not all the way falling into that pose, but we just have a little bit of a lift. So the muscles of the thighs are working. The back is working to keep a nice straight spine. And then we'll take the hands to the mat. And we're facing the top of the mat, and we'll just come back into a forward fold. Let the legs go and keep the feet at the edges of the mat. Breathe, let the head drop. Relax the shoulders. And then we'll take the palms flat to the mat, and again, come into your squat. And from here, with the hands on the mat, we're going to step the left leg back. So we'll end up with a lunge, but the hands are inside and the right foot is still on the edge of the mat. Inhale and exhale and push through that back heel. So we're stretching the back of the leg, nice and tall. And then this is a good place if you need extra padding under your knee. We're going to lower that back knee. So if you need a little bit of extra under that knee, this is a good time to put it there. As you lower that knee, untuck that back toe. And then on the fingertips, nice and tall, letting the hips drop. And then an alternative to this, you can just keep your foot in between the hands, another variation, and just stay in your lunge. Otherwise, keep the foot to the edge. And then instead of coming down right in front, we're going to walk the hands to the left. So you can let that knee fall out to the edge of the foot just a little bit. And we're just going to walk the hands forward so we get an extra side stretch there. Then you can come down to your elbows, stay up or down. So we're getting an extra side stretch here. Maybe let that leg come out just a little bit for that hip stretch. Deep breath here. You can also use a block. Take your elbows onto a block. And then we'll come up and walk it back to center. Big inhale and exhale. So from here, we're going to go right into a pigeon. So we'll just heel toe that front foot to the opposite side of the mat. And then we'll start to come down on that knee. Ideally, we're trying to have that shin parallel to the top of the mat, which is tough to do. I have to keep my knee wants to go straight forward, which is fine. We're still getting a stretch. And what's really helpful, I like to use a cushion right and back against the calf. So that helps me to keep that alignment. So it's easier to keep the front shin parallel to the top of the mat. Nice and tall. And we'll retuck that back foot, pull the shoulders back, get that stretch. As you push through the heel, you might feel a lot of sensation in that right hip. Again, anywhere your knee is, you might have that knee facing forward, or you might be able to keep that front foot more parallel. Another option is to actually come down onto the right hip and bend that back leg, and then come down either to the mat or to your elbows. If you can keep that back leg straight and lower the knee, do that, and then come down to your elbows, either on a block. And then eventually, if you want to come all the way down, you can rest your forehead on your palms. Intense stretch for the hips. Notice the sensation, the discomfort. Not pain. We're not working to the point of pain. You can always release a little bit by coming up or rocking onto that hip. If you can stay there, just be with it. Rest with the discomfort. Letting the hips sink. Take another 3 breaths. See if you can let go of that hip. And then we'll come back up to the hands. If you have a cushion or a block under you, take it out. And this time we'll roll right onto that right hip. And then we'll come back and take your left hand in the back of that left leg, and we're going to lift it and bring that leg forward. I'm going to face you so you can see what I'm doing. So my right leg is still bent. I'm lifting my left leg, and I'm going to hold it, one hand with the foot, one hand under the knee, and just lift it, maybe rock it a little bit. If you can take it to the crook of your arm. And as long as you're not overly bending, you're not falling into your lower back, but you're staying nice and tall. And maybe rock that leg just a little bit, loosening that hip. Trying to keep the straight spine there. If it's too much to keep a straight spine with having the foot in the crook of your arm or your elbow, you can just hold it right there, out a little bit. As long as you're getting that little movement in the hip. And then we'll take it out to the side, extend that leg, sitting nice and tall. Your right sole of the foot to the inner thigh, sitting nice and straight. And then we'll rotate towards that foot. So I'm opposite you now, and you're pushing through the heel, and then we'll slowly walk, finding that stretch in the lower back, trying to bring the chest toward the shin. Inhale, exhale. Push through that heel, flexing that foot. And we'll walk it back up. So we have two options here. We're going to take it to a twist. The first option is to keep that leg extended, and we'll just turn toward the bent knee and come into a twist. If it's in your practice and you want to try a half lotus, you can take that extended leg and bring that foot right to as close as you can to your hip crease. If you do that, you're going to twist toward that knee. So you'll be twisting in the other direction. So you're either keeping that leg extended and twisting toward the right, or if you want to try Ardha Padmasana or half lotus, you can take that foot into the crook of your hip and then twist in that direction. And this is another one that might be accessible on some days and not other days, or on one side and not the other side. You can use that hand as a lever to increase the twist, keeping the spine nice and tall. And then come back to center. If your leg is extended, just bring it in. And then facing the top of your mat, we'll just roll onto our knees, and then we'll take it back to downward dog. And pedal out your feet. Deep breath. And let's walk back to a forward fold. Inhale, exhale, maybe straighten the legs. And palms to the mat, we'll heel toe the feet to the edges of the mat. And again, we're going to come down to our squat. So whatever variation you're doing, either sitting on the blocks or you can come to a happy baby. Again, lifting the spine. Thumbs can come into the sternum to help straighten the spine. And then we'll take our hands to the mat, and we're going to do a little strengthening here. So very slowly, we're going to lift the hips so we have the thighs are parallel to the floor, and lower, and lift, engaging all the muscles, the abdominals, inner thighs. Just doing a lot of strengthening here, keeping the hips back, lift and lower. And one more time, lift, hold it there. Feel the inner thighs working, quads working. And then we'll straighten the legs and come to a forward fold. You can bring the feet to face forward. Big inhale, exhale, releasing the lower back. And again, take your palms to the mat. Toes are slight angle, and we'll lower down to our squat. And this time we'll bring the right leg back. So we can adjust by bringing that left foot a little bit forward so that hands and the feet are in one line. Hands are on the inside of the foot. Variation, if that's not accessible, just take it to a lunge. And push through that back heel so you're straightening that back leg. Maybe come up on the fingertips, feel that stretch, front of the right hip joint. And then again, we're going to lower that knee, untuck the toes. And this time, instead of coming down again, straight in front, we'll walk the hands to the opposite direction. And then you can stay there or come down to the elbows. Maybe open that leg just a little bit, rocking onto the side of the foot, of the left foot. Feeling that stretch on the inner thigh, outside of the ankle. Let the hips drop toward the mat. Intense inner thigh stretch. And then come back onto your hands. Walk the hands forward. And we'll go right to our pigeon. So the hand comes to the outside of that foot as you heel toe it across the mat. And start to lower down. And as much as you can, we're trying to keep that shin parallel to the top of the mat. You might be more at an angle where your knee is toward the top of the mat. Again, I highly recommend the pillow right behind that calf muscle. And then you can tuck the toe, push through that heel, come up nice and tall. And then you can lower that knee, untuck the back toes, and come forward onto your elbows or onto a block. Take a few breaths here. When you're ready, you can bring your forehead to the top of your hands, noticing the intensity of the stretch in the hips. If that's too intense, you can always come up or just come onto that hip and come down. You're still getting a stretch, but it's going to lessen that intensity of the stretch. Otherwise, stay with it. Come all the way down. See if you can let the hips drop. Take another breath. Staying with the sensation. We'll slowly start to come up onto the hands. Remove any props. And then we'll reach back and take that back leg forward in front. And again, we'll cradle that foot One hand under the knee, one hand under the foot, or if you're able, you can take it to the inside of the elbow. As long as you're not falling into your lower back, you want to stay tall. Rock it a little bit side to side. And then we'll extend that leg out. Sitting tall, we'll rotate towards that foot, pushing through the heel, and then lowering down towards that foot, any amount. Hands can be on either side of your leg or can come to the toes. Inhale, exhale, maybe take it a little deeper. Extending the lower back. And then we'll walk it back up. And again, we'll take it to a twist. Same options here. You can take your twist with the leg extended, twisting toward the bent knee. Again, I'm opposite you. Or if you want to try the half lotus on this side, you take that extended foot as close as you can into the hip crease. And in this case, we will turn toward that knee. Spine is nice and tall. Inhale, exhale, maybe increase that twist, drop the shoulders. And again, relaxing the face and the jaw. And we'll bring it back front. And from here, we'll just come into a cross-legged and just come onto your knees. And we'll back it right up into a downward dog. Pedal your feet out a little bit. Stretch the back of your legs. And this time, let's walk the hands back toward the feet. Come into your forward fold. Uttasana. Maybe shake the head. Relax the neck, the shoulders. Come to a flat back, shoulders away from the ears, fingertips to the mat or to the shins. And then let it go, forward fold, bend the knees, and reverse swan dive. Take it all the way up, arms overhead, and then bring the arms to prayer position right in front of the heart. Big deep breath in. Let's take the weight onto the right foot. Now I'm mirroring you, so I'll be on my left, you're on your right foot. We'll lift that knee, start to bend the supporting leg just a little bit. We'll take that ankle, rest it right above the standing knee. Bring the hips back a little bit, making a little shelf. So we're coming into our pigeon pose. Find your balance. Inhale, exhale. Keep flexion in that foot. Option to start to hinge from the hips. Bringing your elbows towards that leg as much as you can. Strong engagement of the abs here. Focusing straight ahead. And come back up. Slowly trying to maintain your balance. And slowly straighten that leg. And then we'll come right into a tree pose. So bring that sole of the foot to the inner thigh, above or below the knee. You can also take it right here or above the knee. Pressing that sole of the foot into the inner thigh. Engage the abs. Find your balance. And option to take the arms up. Big inhale. Maybe rotate the wrists. Drop the shoulders. And we'll bring the arms back and lower the leg. And let's just take a few hip rotations right there. And we'll take that to the other side. So bring your right leg to the center, bringing the weight onto actually your left, the side you didn't do. So I'm mirroring you, I'm on the right, you're on the left. Bending into that knee, hands to heart. Coming into pigeon pose. So the hips come back a little bit. Spine is straight. Hold it there. Option, just slowly lower, hinging at the hips. Maybe you can rest your elbows on your shin or take your fingertips to the mat. And we'll slowly come back up, focusing on that abdominal strength. Keep your gaze ahead of you and come back up. And then take it to your tree pose. Foot can be above the knee or below the knee. Find your balance. Take the arms up. And rotate the wrists. Hands come back to the heart. And we'll let that go. And one last little hip rotation. And we'll slightly separate the feet. And then one last time, come down to your squat. Hold it there. And then we'll come all the way down to the mat. And inhale and exhale, slowly take it all the way down. And take the feet to the edges of the mat, and we'll take the arms out to the side. Palms can be up or down. And then we'll just rock the knees from side to side, keeping the feet at the edges of the mat. Oh, loosening the hips, did a lot of work, a lot of hip opening. A lot of strengthening. With the breath, slowly moving one side to the other. And then we'll let the knees go all the way to the mat. And stay there. You have an option to take that left foot and rest it on top of the right knee. Notice how that increases the stretch across the hip. Gaze can be toward the ceiling or maybe toward your right arm. Take a deep breath. Letting that hip go. And take your head back up, knees come up. And we'll come to a neutral position. Feet are still at the edges of the mat, and then slowly drop the knees to the opposite side. Again, option to stay there or take that foot on top of the knee for a little extra stretch there across the hip. Notice where you're feeling that stretch. Shoulder blades are on the mat. And slowly come back up. And from here, we'll just extend one leg and the other leg. Legs can be slightly apart. Hands comfortably at your side for Shavasana. Take a nice deep breath. And exhale. As you start to let it all go, close the eyes, relaxing the face. Settling into your easy, natural breath. Let the lips part. Top of the shoulders, relaxing into the mat. Notice the heaviness of the arms and legs. Notice any lingering tension. See if you can let it go with your exhale. Start to deepen the breath, bringing some sensation back to the fingers and toes. Take a deep inhale as you bring one knee in and the other knee in. And exhale. Slowly start to come to one side and we'll come to sit. Taking your time. Bring your hands to the heart. And last deep breath in and exhale. Notice the calmness and the balance. See if we can imprint that and take it with us to the rest of our day. Being hopeful, grateful, and mostly hopeful for a positive outcome to all of this. Namaste. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Thanks, Enid.
You're welcome.